My name is Eleanor Ruth Caldwell. I am 101 years old, and I am about to tell you something that is going to make the entire orthopedic and pharmaceutical industry very angry. I do not have a single ache in my joints. I do not wake up stiff. I do not own a wheelchair. I do not use a walker, and I certainly do not take a handful of synthetic painkillers just to get out of bed in the morning. When I bend down to pull weeds in my garden, my knees do not sound like crushing gravel. My joints are as silent and smooth as they were when I was 40. Now, let me tell you a story. Back in 1990, when I was 65 years old, my right knee started giving me terrible trouble. It swelled up, it throbbed relentlessly at night, and walking up the stairs felt like stepping on broken glass. I went to see a top orthopedic surgeon in the city, a Dr. Miller. He looked at my x-rays, shook his head, and told me I had severe arthritis. He said the cartilage was completely gone. It was bone on bone, and there was absolutely nothing I could do to reverse it. He told me I needed a total knee replacement surgery immediately, and in the meantime, he handed me a prescription for a heavy daily anti-inflammatory painkiller. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "Eleanor, your joints are just wearing out. It is a normal part of getting older. Do you want to know where Dr. Miller is today? He is resting in Oakwood Cemetery, plot 412. He passed away at 68 from a massive stomach bleed caused by the exact same anti-inflammatory painkillers he was handing out to me like candy. I threw his prescription in the garbage, I canceled the surgery, and I am still walking on the exact same knees God gave me 101 years ago. Let me tell you exactly what I did instead. I realized that my body was not wearing out. It was rusting out. It was on fire with inflammation. So I completely changed what I was putting into my body. First, I cut out the one thing that acts like pure gasoline on a fire, processed refined sugar. I threw out the sodas, the store-bought cookies, the sweetened breads, and all those hidden toxic sugars they pump into modern packaged food to keep you addicted. I completely stopped eating the fake factory-made garbage, but taking the bad out was only the subtraction. The addition is what actually rebuilt my joints. I went back to the way my great-grandmother cooked. I started making real bone broth, not the flavored salt water they sell in cardboard boxes at the supermarket today. I went to the local butcher. I bought heavy beef bones with the marrow and cartilage still attached, and I simmered them in a large pot of water on my stove for 24 hours. That thick, golden broth is packed with natural collagen, gelatin, and trace minerals. It is the exact biological glue your body uses to rebuild your cartilage and lubricate your joints. I drank a warm mug of it every single afternoon. Within a month, the swelling in my knee was gone. Within 6 months, the pain was completely erased. I gave my body the raw materials it needed to heal itself. Instead of letting a man in a white coat cut me open and put metal hinges in my legs, modern people are terrified of real traditional food, but they will gladly swallow a laboratory pill with a list of side effects longer than a grocery receipt. But now I am going to tell you something, and you are not going to like it. What you put in your mouth is only half the battle. You can drink my exact bone broth every single day. You can cut out every grain of sugar, and your joints will still lock up if your spirit is stiff. I have seen it happen time and time again. Physical stiffness is very often a direct reflection of emotional rigidity. I had a friend named Beatrice back in the 1980s. Beatrice was the most stubborn, unbending woman you could ever meet. Everything had to be exactly her way. She had a strict set of rules for how people should behave, how her house should look, and how the world should operate. If you disagreed with her, she didn't just argue, she cut you out of her life entirely. She demanded apologies from everyone but never gave them herself. She absolutely refused to bend. By the time Beatrice was 70, her body began to mirror her mind. She developed crippling arthritis. Her hands curled inward, her spine stiffened, and she could barely turn her neck to look out the window. She lived in constant, agonizing pain. Do you want to know what actually crippled Beatrice? It wasn't just age, it was her absolute refusal to be flexible. She spent 40 years holding on to rigid opinions, ancient resentments, and a desperate, exhausting need to always be right. A tree that cannot bend in the wind will eventually snap. Beatrice snapped. She died alone in a nursing home, completely immobilized, not because her body failed her, but because her spirit calcified long before her joints did. If you want to stay mobile, if you want to walk without pain, you have to stay flexible in your mind. You have to let things go. People are going to disappoint you. The world is going to change in ways you do not understand and do not agree with. Let it. You cannot control the wind. You can only adjust your sails. Stop trying to force everyone to fit into your rigid little boxes. When you hold on to anger, when you refuse to forgive, your body physically tenses up. You clench your jaw, you tighten your shoulders, your stress hormones spike, and your body stays in a state of constant defensive inflammation. You are literally wearing your own joints down with your unexpressed rage. I am going to tell you again, and I want you to listen to me. Forgive them. Forgive the people who hurt you. Not because what they did was right, but because carrying that heavy, bitter stone is destroying your own posture. I held a terrible grudge against my own daughter for 3 years because she chose a career path and a husband I did not approve of. 3 years of awkward silences and skipped holidays. I noticed during those 3 years that my lower back ached constantly. I couldn't sleep. I could barely bend over to tie my own shoes. One day, I looked in the mirror and realized I was turning into Beatrice. I picked up the telephone, I called my daughter, and I told her I loved her and I was deeply sorry for being so rigid. I let it go, and I swear to you, the physical pain in my back melted away within a week. Life is too short to be stiff. You have to learn to adapt, to laugh at the absolute absurdity of the surprises, and to bend with the heavy blows. I buried my husband Arthur 25 years ago. I buried my oldest friends. I have lived through grief that would bring an elephant to its knees, but I did not let it turn me to stone. I allowed myself to feel it, to cry until I had no tears left, and then I stood back up, adjusted my posture, and kept walking. I am 101 years old. I do not buy green bananas because I might not be here when they ripen. I do not have time for someday. You are sitting there watching this on a screen, complaining about your aching back and your stiff knees, waiting for a miracle cure so you can finally start living. You are waiting for the perfect time to take that trip, to apologize to your brother, to start that garden. I had a neighbor named Henry who spent his entire retirement sitting in a velvet recliner complaining about his bad hip. He had enough money to travel the world, but he said he was waiting until his hip felt 100% better. He spent 15 years waiting for perfect health. Henry died in that recliner at 78, having gone nowhere and done absolutely nothing. Do not be Henry. Stop waiting for the pain to completely disappear before you live. Sometimes you have to take the trip, make the call, and do the hard work while it still aches a little. Someday is a lie. lie. Someday does not exist. It is a cruel trick your mind plays on you to keep you safe from the risk of living right now. Drop the fake, sugary food that is setting your body on fire. Go to the butcher, get some real beef bones, and make the thick healing broth your great-grandmother made. Give your body the building blocks it needs. But more importantly, drop the heavy, rigid expectations that are stiffening your soul. Forgive quickly, bend easily, and stop waiting for a someday that is never going to arrive. There is no magic pill. There is no surgical shortcut. There is just real food, real forgiveness, a flexible spirit, and the absolute courage to live fully right now. That is the secret, and it has been sitting right in front of you the whole time. Now, go make a real meal, stretch your legs, and call someone you love. Subscribe to my channel, and do not forget to like and share.